We went over the most effective exercises to give you the best results in the gym for the most muscle gain, but these are worthless if your nutrition isn't in check. In this video, I'll show you the best foods for you to eat to make sure those gains keep coming. At the end of this video, you'll not only know the best nutritional strategies for you and your goals, but also the best foods you specifically should eat for your health and fitness goals. Let's get started. It's important to know what macros you need for your fitness goals. Anyone who's Googled protein has probably seen a consistent protein goal, 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of target body weight. For example, if you want to drop from 240 pounds to 200 pounds, you try to eat anywhere from 160 grams to 200 grams of protein per day. This systematic review goes over everything for protein. For example, the researchers found that even upwards of 3.2 to 4.4 grams per kilogram a day, or 1.45 to 2 grams of pounds per day of protein was not harmful for the kidneys. Obviously, this is a ridiculously high amount of protein for one day, so it's pretty safe to say if there is a harmful limit to the amount of protein you can eat in one day, it would be very difficult to get to. High amounts of protein are also best for lean muscle mass, more fat loss, and better overall health. The systematic review also found that protein is great for fat loss, resulted in less sugar consumed, and also helped to burn more energy. For the vegans and vegetarians out there, you can supplement for other protein supplements to get enough protein. Apparently in the US, for a food to be labeled as high protein, it must have 10 to 19% of the daily reference value per serving, aka 5 to 9.5 grams of protein per serving. But 2 tablespoons of peanut butter only has 7 grams of protein and 190 calories. For me to get all my protein purely from peanut butter, I would have to consume 5,428 calories of peanut butter to get 200 grams of protein. This is ridiculous. For me to get the same daily protein from chicken breast would only require me to consume 623 grams of chicken breast, equating to only 984 calories. Now you may have heard that you need to consume lots of protein almost right after your workout, or else your gym time will have been for nothing. The researchers found this anabolic window, or the window of time after your workout you should consume a lot of protein, is a lot longer than we believed even years ago. They found that protein was still synthesized even 24 to 72 hours after a workout. You can literally fast for a day, work out, and be just fine. Still, it's important to get some protein in around the same time frame of your workout, but it's not as urgent as once thought. Pre-workout protein is super important, and possibly even more important than post-workout protein in either young or older participants. I generally have a protein bar, a granola bar, and some fruit about 30 minutes before a workout, and then prepare and eat a high protein dinner about 30 to 60 minutes after my workout, and I've been making gains just fine. Now, how much protein can you have in one meal to make it the most efficient and not to waste any of it? Well, the researchers can answer that too. They found that even protein intakes of 100 grams at a time are fine and actually result in a greater and more prolonged anabolic response than lower intakes. You know how much protein is 100 grams? Well, it's a lot. If you took your multiverse self that eats 100 grams of protein right after a workout and compare it to yourself in this multiverse where you only eat 50 grams of protein after a workout, with all else being the same, the total amount of protein you eat, the workouts, recovery, calories, etc., I don't believe you'd see a major difference. Do whatever works best for you and your situation that is sustainable. Now what about fats? Do calories from fats make you fats? The short answer is no, but it depends. More on that later. This systematic review recommends you consume 20 to 35% of your daily calorie intake from fats, limiting the saturated and trans fats. And to top it off with the carbs, the systematic review notes that carbs could have a potentially good impact on building muscle, recommending 3 to 7.2 grams per kilogram of target body weight per day, or 1.36 to 3.27 grams per pound target body weight per day for bodybuilders. For example, let's say you weigh 100 kilograms or 220 pounds. That would be 300 to 720 grams per day of carbohydrates. That's quite a bit of wiggle room. It's also not sure if carbs have a substantial impact on muscle protein synthesis, with the speculations leaning towards possibly, but maybe not a huge impact. I recommend at least 20% of your daily calorie intake from fats, 0.8 to 1 gram per pound per body weight per day of protein, and the rest with fats or carbohydrates. Carbs are important for energy, and this can fuel your workouts so you get the best workouts possible, fueling the most muscle growth potential to the maximum, so carbs are very effective, especially before your workouts. Throughout the systematic review, it's also suggested that maybe vitamins C, D, E, magnesium, zinc, and chromium can have an impact. The authors also noted that certain foods such as berries, grape skins, red wines, apples, citrus, fruits, onions, and curcumin, which is the main ingredient in turmeric, can have either a direct or indirect impact on your gains. Creatine is one of the most highly effective supplements for muscle growth. According to the author's research, consuming 3 to 5 grams per day is the sweet spot for the most effective dose after a loading phase. And maybe consuming it with some protein and carbohydrates can help. And finally, a probiotic may help with some muscle building and fat burning mechanisms as well. Okay, so we're going to talk about the most nutritional strategies for fat loss, and ironically, a lot of these principles can help with building muscle mass as well. It's important to have some strategies and tactics on hand when trying to lose fat, since the body wants to try so dang hard to keep fat on your body. Although we have evolved as a society, our bodies are still primitive in nature. It's constantly looking to prolong our lives and be in survival mode. Your body doesn't know when the next meal will be, so it clings on to fat until it needs to finally let it go, and only when it absolutely has to. Now, we're well past the point of believing in any one diet in particular for the best fat loss. Research consistently shows that no matter what you eat or what diet you follow, the name of the game is calories in versus calories out. In other words, if you burn more calories than you consume, you will lose weight. Now, there are a number of ways to burn calories and consume less calories, with the most important factor in weight loss is keeping the long game in mind. How sustainable are your nutritional and activity habits? Remember that the body wants to keep fat on, so if you're on a diet or a weight loss program and then get off, what do you think is going to happen? You'll revert back to the same habits and gain some or most of the weight back, leading us back to square one. One of my top tips for sustainable weight loss and management is to drink water, but not just any water. You see, hunger is the main enemy you'll be fighting while losing weight. It's your body's signal that it doesn't like losing that precious fat essential to your survival, so it sends a message to your brain telling you to eat more. Obviously, the signal can be pretty strong and uncomfortable. That's why a lot of people get hangry. It's definitely a thing. A good way to fight this is to keep your stomach full with low-calorie or no-calorie foods and beverages, and a lot of these are more effective than others. My wife would drink carbonated flavored water since this was more appealing than drinking regular water. I didn't think too much of it until I tried it one day during a fat loss phase, and let me tell you, it is a game changer. There are even studies to support this too. So for about $1 a day, you can stay full and less hungry just by drinking a different type of water. A failure to prepare is preparing to fail. We've all heard this saying before, and it can't be more true for losing or gaining weight. We'll get to gaining weight and muscle in a second. Now let's take 2 scenarios, both starting off with a long, hard, and stressful day at either school or work, and coming home to eat dinner. Which would be easier to do? Option number 1. Order a takeout Panda Express because you have no lower calorie dinners to prepare at home. Or option 2, heating up some meal prep chicken and veggies in a low calorie stir fry sauce. Okay, let's be real. Option 1 would be the easiest and most appealing. My point is it's much easier to stick within your calorie goals for the day if you have readily available options that are still lower in calories but taste great. Now, what does this look like? Well, what I have found to be the easiest is to set aside 2, maybe 3 hours on a weekend, usually I do Sunday mornings or afternoons, and cook up a ton of chicken in the oven for the next 2 or 3 weeks. At the same time, I would dice up some potatoes and veggies, like onions or peppers, or just buy them already pre-diced, and when the chicken is done cooking, I'll throw in the potatoes and bam! I have 2 to 3 weeks worth of healthy meals in 2 to 3 hours. You can then mix and match with different sauces or seasonings or even lower calorie cheeses like feta or parmesan. Even just cooking the chicken in the oven takes 5 to 10 minutes of prep time and 10 to 15 minutes of cook time, plus 5 to 10 minutes of store it. So 35 minutes tops for lean proteins for 2 to 3 weeks to have on hand. This alone can completely save you in your calorie goals after a long day. I also have frozen french fries and other carb options on hand to air fry or cook in the pinch, and mix and match with seasonings, sauces, and cheeses I have also readily available to keep it fresh. This leads into the next tip, which is to have consistent foods you eat every day. I'm not telling you to eat the same chicken and broccoli meals every single day for the rest of your life, but it definitely helps to know you're going to get at least 40 grams of protein at this specific meal from a certain food or drink. For example, every day I eat 8 ounces of chicken breast, so no matter what I eat for the rest of the day, I know I'm getting 67 grams of protein, 8 grams of fat, and it'll be 335 calories. At my 200 grams of protein goal per day, that's pretty good just for one meal. Obviously, I'll have other things to go along with that chicken breast, but at least I know I'll always be eating that and can figure out the rest of my calories and meals from there. I also have 240 milligrams of chocolate Fairlife with my coffee, so it's another 14 grams of protein, 3 grams of fats, 20 grams of carbs, and 140 calories. You get the idea. I also have a pure protein bar every day, so I know I'll be factoring that into my calories and protein, and I can have different flavors of pure protein bars so I don't get bored of them. This is super helpful if you're really craving something but don't know if you can squeeze it into your calories for that day. You'll know you'll be having X amount of calories and X amount of protein, fats, and carbs from these X foods or drinks, so you can basically reverse engineer your day to see if you can have that delectable salted caramel chocolate chip cookie. Anyways, you may have heard that eating many smaller meals throughout the day can boost your metabolism. Well, remember that weight loss or weight gain is about calories in and calories out. How much you consume versus how much you burn. If you ever have one of those meals where you literally can't eat another bite and then feel full for the next 2, 3, maybe 4 hours, Well, it's not much different for fat loss. Having larger meals less frequently can help you feel more full longer. It takes the body longer than you think to send those hunger signals to your brain, and that can work both ways. If you're constantly snacking and having little meals more frequently, your stomach is never really full. Contrast that with having larger, less frequent meals in which your stomach will get full and send those hunger signals to your brain, letting it know, hey, we don't need another meal for a while. And then when your stomach gets more room and your body wants to get in more calories, it'll take a little bit longer for those hunger signals to get sent. Hopefully by then you'll already be at your next meal, limiting how long and how often you're fighting those hunger signals. Speaking of which, while you're sleeping, you're obviously not eating. If you find out how to eat while you sleep, let me know. So that's potentially 7 to 9 hours of your body fasting, so naturally you might be a little hangry waking up. Breakfast can be one of the most important meals of the day, and research supports this. Now, what you eat for breakfast is very important. Lucky Charms ain't gonna bring you much luck. The focus for breakfast in all your meals should be high protein, veggies, fruits, healthy fats, and the rest with whatever you can fit in your calorie goals. From the studies mentioned before, we want anywhere from at least 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, but it's not necessarily bad to go above this. Going above won't build more muscle, but we know that protein can help us feel full for longer than carbs or fats do, generally speaking. Since the name of the game is to stave off hunger signals as best we can so we're more compliant with our calorie goals, it doesn't hurt to bump up the protein for a little bit, especially if you're feeling hangry. This information is great and all, but how do I know what my calorie goals are? Well, there are about 50,621 calorie calculators out there, and it really is just a guessing game once you figure out how many calories your body burns on the daily. I found this one at Healthline to be pretty accurate for me. You want to lose anywhere from 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week to make sure your metabolism doesn't plummet and you retain the most muscle possible. It usually equates to 1 or 2 pounds per week. To lose a pound of body weight, you need to burn about 3,500 calories. 7 days in a week, 3,500 calories to burn a pound, and we're looking at roughly 500 calories less than your maintenance per day. Now, I personally will do a larger deficit on weekdays when I lift weights, and then on the weekends I'll do a smaller deficit so I can enjoy the higher calorie foods on the weekends. That looks like doing a 600 to 700 calorie deficit Monday through Friday, and a smaller calorie deficit on Saturdays and Sundays. Only more carbs before my workouts so they don't suffer and I at least maintain strength and keep muscle in the gym, if not giving it a little boost. On the flip side, if you want to gain weight and muscle, you'll pretty much do the opposite. Carbonated water? Nah, save a couple bucks. Larger meals that keep you full for longer? Not today. Constantly snacking could be more effective. You'll still want to have plenty of fruits and veggies to get essential vitamins and minerals, but maybe pairing them with higher calorie protein and carb sources like lean beef or more rice. Now, I personally don't put as much emphasis on protein during a weight gain phase compared to fat loss phase since you want to eat more calories. You don't want to be full at the end of the day and find out you need to eat another 600 calories right before you go to bed. That sounds like a good problem to have until you're so full you can't even think of having another bite of anything at all. Fats can help here since 1, they taste great, and 2, they are more calorie dense and don't keep you full as much as protein does. More food? Heck yeah. This can be as easy as adding peanut butter to your oatmeal or a drizzle of olive oil to your chicken or protein shake. You won't be able to taste the difference and you'll get an extra 100 calories per tablespoon. Along with this, you have more freedom to have some more not so nutritious foods when gaining weight, since you do need those extra calories to maximize your muscle building potential. Just remember that even though you're trying to gain weight, you want to minimize the fat you gain and maximize the muscle you put on, so figure out calorie needs and stay within those. It's still useful to have ideas of muscles on hand you'll consistently eat day in and day out that are readily available. You still have to hit those protein, fat, and calorie goals and be mindful of not picking out too much and less nutritious foods. Just because we are trying to gain weight doesn't mean we can neglect the things that our body needs. So it doesn't matter when I have all this food. Not necessarily, but meal timing can help us with a number of things. We call it eating breakfast can be very useful for weight loss. It would be most effective to include protein in there as well, and I argue breakfast can also be helpful for gaining weight, since it's another meal and you'll be supplying your body with calories and nutrition it needs after 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Since lifting weights helps us to lose weight as well, we want to make sure we set ourselves up for success in the weight room. Having a pre-workout meal is probably equally, if not more effective, than eating breakfast since it fuels our workouts to lift more weight. We want protein to start the process of giving our muscles what they need after a workout. We want carbs to give us energy to push through the workout. And we want to minimize fiber and fats. Since these are slower digesting, they'll sit with us throughout our workouts, which is not good. Trust me. There is some research to show that having typical carbs and fruit before our workouts can be better than just regular carbs alone. My typical pre-workout meal is a pure protein bar, some fruit, about 500 to 100 calories of strawberries, pineapple, mango, or an apple, and a granola bar or wheat thins. These involve minimal prep work and I can just stash the protein bars and granola bars in my bag for a week. Easy as that. At the end of the day, you're winding down and getting ready for bed. remember how you hopefully sleep 7 to 9 hours each night. Well, you're not eating during that time, so it's important to have some protein right before bed. I also like to have some healthy fats like peanut butter or almond butter, so it helps the protein digest a little slower throughout the night. All this nutrition advice won't matter if you aren't consistent with it. Remember, there's no magical food or food groups. You have to find what you enjoy. That's entirely up to you. Well guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Like it if you found it helpful, and click subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let me know in the comments below if you have any nutritional questions I didn't answer in the video. I'll do my best to answer them. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.